24 hours have passed. Did any of you hear about that thing? Wow, was that wild or not? Man, Rick Hygas had this harebrained idea. It's the same Rick Hygas who was pointing in a mean kind of way across the table. He might have been talking about 24 hours have passed, I don't know. But what if, that's the question, what if we could have 1 hour sessions around the clock for a day? 24 hours have passed. And as the time zone changes from one part of the world to another, what if we tried to have that hour sponsored by a chapter in that region of the world? The fact is, it worked. Within days of the announcement of this thing, there were 17,000 registrations, and the total ended up being 50,000 registrations from 70 countries. 3,500 people attended, and it was a 24-hour event, and it was very successful. So thank you, Rick, for your harebrained ideas. I'm sure there'll be more. This year also, we're relaunching SQL Server Standard as the flagship publication. We sadly had to quit delivering the print edition of that. Does anybody have any questions about why? Yeah, I heard a yes, but let me just tell you. It costs way much more to send the magazine out than it does to put all the content inside it. So is it better to spend your money at the post office, or is it better to spend your money trying to get better content that we can all use? Well, the answer came back, let's spend it on the content. So we've just relaunched the SQL Server Standard. It is free. The first article was just published. And if you would like to submit a proposal for this, we are paying $500 for an article. These articles are intended to be very detailed, very complete, 400-level articles. Introductory and intermediate stuff you can get other places on the web from other wonderful places, and we're not trying to compete with those places. What we're trying to do is bring something new that the community needs, something that you've asked for. Everything at PASS happens because volunteers make it happen. The board members, some of whom you see here, work very hard. They listen to what you have to say, and I'm putting the pictures up here so you'll recognize them. They should be wearing black shirts for the most part, but stop them. Give them your opinion about what works well, what does not work well. We're talking now about locations of conferences. That seems to be a hot topic. Where should conferences be? Should they always stay here? Should they move around? If they stay here, Microsoft can have 500 people come by because it's just next door. If we move around, then you don't have to fly so far if you're on the West Coast, but Microsoft can't possibly close down operations to send people. So think about where you want the conference to be. Talk to these folks. They're here to listen to you and to try to organize things in such a way that we get the best return for all of us. I'd also like to thank our founding partners. When PASS was started, it was started by a predecessor of CA and by Microsoft. And each of those two companies provide two folks who advise us and participate with us. Microsoft this year has senior executives and all of the hundreds of Microsoft people that are here to support. Also, the CA representatives have been very helpful. They're sponsoring the Women in Technology Luncheon this year. Also, we recently had an election for the new executive for next year, and that will be discussed more. I think it's on Thursday. Towards speaking your wishes, there will be a QA session, an open QA session with the board in room 6E from 4:30 to 6:15 Wednesday. We will be there. We'll just sit down and talk about stuff. What do we need to do? What do you want to do? What should I do? Whatever. How can we be better? We're also going to have posted booth hours. Individual board members are going to sign up for booth hours, and that hours will be posted in the PASS booth outside. So if you want to speak particularly with a specific board member, go check the schedule and meet him at the PASS booth. Also, there's lots of twittering going on. Twitter, if you will. I'm going to show you something about that in just a minute. And lastly, we have a suggestion box. If you are not man enough or woman enough to come up and say it to my face, put it in the suggestion box and don't sign it. Or put it in the suggestion box and sign Rick Hygus' name to it. Both of those work. I'm not going to go into details. Huge conference, 168 sessions. The SQL Server Clinic with the CSS and SQL Cat. Talk to those people. It's a rare opportunity to get some one-on-one time with those folks. The hands-on labs, the learning centers, and back in the at the back of the exhibition hall. SQL Cat people and other Microsoft people are going to be there, as well as community folks for Chalk Talks and to visit. That's the place where you're going to get some good information as well. One of the things I want to remind you, just briefly, Microsoft is sponsoring a party for all of us tomorrow night at GameWorks. Some details are in your badging stuff. You also should have a wristband. So be sure and put your wristband on before you come. Lastly, or not lastly, but I also want to mention, the way you can take advantage of this conference the very best is to do a little bit of planning. Not something you do on your regular job. I would encourage you to think about spending time with people here as a high priority. SQL Cat folks, CSS folks, hands-on labs, all that kind of stuff. Talking with your peers. Make that a high priority, because after this week, everybody goes back to their work, and you'll have access to news groups and Twitter and all the rest of that stuff. But take advantage of that while you're here. Second thing, if there are sessions that you absolutely do not want to miss, identify those things now and get there early. It is always the case that there is some session, more than one session, that is so popular that the room fills up. And when the room fills up, there's a limit, and there's someone outside the door, and when that room gets full, nobody else can go in. So if there's a session that you really need to go, get there first, because we cannot allow the rooms to be overfull. However, do not fret. You'll have access to all of this content online as soon as it's available. So if you miss a session, and surely you can't go to see 168 sessions anyway. So if you go to every session, every event, you're only going to get this much of what's available this week. So I urge you to take advantage of the online sessions. And I would also encourage you to go out and buy a DVD so you don't have to wait for download times. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Excuse me, the premier sponsor of Microsoft. Special thanks to the platinum sponsor, Dell. These folks help us put on a great conference. I urge you to go to the exhibition hall and look at all the folks who have wares there. We have 4 gold sponsors this year: EMC, Expressor, HP, and VMware. Just as an aside, did you know that we have a virtual chapter on virtualization? I'm going to figure that out and maybe attend one of their meetings, because I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Also, our silver sponsor, Idera. We also have 7 media partners: Bay Network, DBTA, MS SQL Tips, SQL Server Central, SQL Server Mag, SQL Team, and TDAN. And thanks to all of our exhibitors. Twitter. Do you guys Twitter? You tweet? You see? Yeah? Oh, yeah, the bloggers. You hear the noise? Bloggers. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you all. Right there with the hands up. That means they're not blogging. Out front, you can see the tweets of people who Twitter. This is the live feed right now, so if you are a Twitter person, if you tweet without SQL Pass, and if you put pound SQL Pass in there, then we'll pick it up and we'll show it. There is a ton of buzz about the conference this year. That's cool. And thank you. This is a bold thing. This is live. Oh, somebody just had my name. Wayne just said SQL Server Central and SQL Pass. Woo-hoo! Oh, that's cool. It's funny. So many things to do and not enough time to do it. Make sure you purchase the DVDs. If you're interested in the DVD, it's $125. That price, I think, is good for another month or something like that, specifically for you guys who have attended the conference, if you want the DVD. But the session information is actually available online to you guys. That's part of the conference thing, so whatever you choose. I have 18 seconds. Remember, nobody should be a stranger. One of the biggest values you can get out of the conference is meeting the guy or the girl sitting beside you finding out what their problems are and how similar or different that they are from yours. The Birds of a Feather lunch today is going to be, the tables are organized by topic, so find a topic you're interested in, make yourself to home. I just went red. So now,